Where
many.
you're in Oz, is it?
I'm in New Zealand.
Oh, New Zealand. Sorry. Oh, yeah.
The side of the world.
How do you feel about it? Yeah, you actually haven't really had a session with me, Patrick, properly. But how do you feel about having Aaron here? Is that feel comfortable or uncomfortable? Or
Yeah, I have to suss it, I suppose. Yeah, it's new, so kind of I'll know once I kind of move into it.
Okay, so just to have that in our field of awareness of, because that needs to come forward. One of the reasons I really want to invite group meditations is that we're actually moving human consciousness out of the what I call the solar consciousness, the separate me, into the unified consciousness, where actually the group field itself has a lot of power, particularly when we're in alignment with the divine aspect of that.
Yeah.
So
it's a new idea, but with shamanism, that's something that kind of would have been introduced as well, that people can build up a field of collective energy, right? Yeah.
And we're all in some relativistic place with that. So, part of the process is to find all those parts and allow them to come home. So, the reason I invited an exploration with you was partly because I hadn't had one, and you have these amazing shares that you put in the group about your visions and your images, and I thought, how does that work inside you? And I don't know, so I'm deadly curious.
Okay. Yeah.
To learn about how your system works.
Okay. Yeah, the reflection technique has been really really deepening of stuff. Yeah. It's just seems to have given a ladder down into different things. Do you know what I mean? That it's just seemed to open up quite a few different patterns in that,
Right. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
And do you have a subject object for your reflection today that you thought of, or shall we just find one now?
Yeah.
We could do it on Aaron. He could be what we reflect upon, which is necessary to start the session.
All right. Okay. Yeah. I suppose there's been kind of a cycle of different things coming up. So, some of those are there around kind of early life stuff and that, and how that's still basically active, But I'm kind of open to kind of dipping in and seeing what's there. I have a sense that that's probably what is there anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
That seems to be what,
so would a trigger be like your father or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay. So all right. So I think we'll start with doing reflection on Aaron, because he's, it's good to come to source with the theme of us.
Okay.
And I can be kind of a blank slate, so we can. It's valuable to do reflection on me, but it's a little bit like doing reflection on emptiness. So I'm hoping that my field isn't creating a disturbance, and if you feel that it is, please mention it, because it's part of the process. We all reflect different things for each other. And even you can do reflection technique. I don't think I've actually mentioned that in the group, but you can do reflection technique on the light. It doesn't have to just be on the shadows.
Okay, right. Yeah.
So you can do reflection technique because we haven't owned our light, and we project our light out just as much as we project our shadows out.
I suppose, yeah. Yeah, we have our negativity bias,
Great. So what's the time there? Is it nighttime or morning?
No, it's 7 a.m.
7 a.m. Oh, bright and early. Okay.
Indeed, yeah.
So let's just invite you to, do the heart-centered sovereignty as a foundational connection, establishing this connection with your soul so that information can go to and from transmissions can be received from your soul. And the invitation obviously is being shared by Aaron, is just to come, breathe yourself into yourself. And rather than any kind of scanning around, what we're doing is landing in whatever we find. So we notice something and we touch it directly. And we greet it in a friendly way, like welcoming it. We include it in our field because it's here. And we ground into it so that we can establish a strong connection. And it also enables, the intention is not to now leave that place to find something else, but the intention is this sort of unconditional love. It's like the field of all. An alignment to every part of me is welcome here. And rather than those just being empty words of guidance, there is an energetic resonance behind my words, and I'm inviting you to seep into that field and see if your system responds to your intention to open and allow every part of you to be here right now. The seen and the unseen. And as you're holding this intention and seeping in and feeling, you're also noticing if there's a challenge, if it's, got mind chatter. You're just noticing whatever's going on. You just allow that and just notice it. And let it be part of, rather than, trying to exclude some part. They're all knights of the round table. As we find parts and notice parts, even the voices or the images, whatever's happening, you acknowledge it in a friendly way. This is me. And without exclusion or judgment, we're welcoming. Without needing to know, we're just welcoming it because it's here. And what we want to notice is if that's possible for us. If I say I'm here for me, can I feel what it feels like to be here for me? And can I notice if it feels true? Is there a response from my soul that says, yeah, I am here for me? Or is something else going on which is in doubt? And what are you noticing in your journey so far, Patrick?
Different things. As you were saying with the light, I feel quite quite strong, quite stable.
Great.
I'm kind of noticing some of that come through in my lower back and kind of spine there. Nice kind of warmth. Then there's some more fear, more on my right side. That's kind of habitual. It's always a certain level of kind of holding there, resistance. And my left side is more open.
Is that your liver? Is that your liver area?
It's my liver and then down lower.
Okay. So I want to invite you to drop the label fear.
Okay.
Yeah, just drop the label for now and not know what it is and just feel what it is, as if you're finding it for the first time, because you have a history with it. And that history that you have with it is shaping how you perceive it.
Mm.
Great. So now you can make a fresh connection. And the attitude of that connection is, I want to get to know you. I'm here for you. I'm listening to you.
Mm.
Yeah. And your system will respond to that. Well, it is. I'm feeling it respond. Are you noticing that? Like a shift? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of loosening.
Yes. Yeah. There's more openness. There's some light coming through. There's connection in a different way.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like that energy is moving into my spine as well, into that kind of warmth area.
Great. Great. So, you know, there was someone here with a position based on your history with that area of fear.
Mm.
You know, that's holding the matrix, actually. It's holding a story, which is it kind of preventing you from having a direct, fresh, new, this moment experience of it, because it has kind of it's holding a story or a matrix about it.
Mm.
So now that you're, you know, very sweetly adjusted very quickly and easily into openness, more openness to that area. Not having it as wrong, but just having it as a part of you that has some wisdom, that it has a gem that it wants to share. And you see, it can't share that to a position. It can only share that to love. And your system has a, like everybody's, has a built-in bullshit detector. It knows when love's here and it knows when it isn't.
Mm.
So everything we do is really coming into alignment with who we really are, which is love.
Mm.
So you're feeling, you know, kind of in a stable place. It's not kind of bouncing and flickering, and you're just feeling grounded in here, or is there something else going on right now?
Yeah, I feel more grounded now. The observer was really going at the start, but that's kind of settled a bit.
Great. Okay. So
Yeah,
I want to invite you to remain in this connection, because that's how the soul sends messages, energy messages.
Mm.
And that's how alchemy happens. And as we, you know, get into, quote, stuff, our default is disconnect. So, you know, we just go as we go and see what happens.
Yeah.
So I want to start with reflection technique on Aaron. This is a stranger to you. You've been in the group for about a week, and, you know, there's this New Zealand man who's been in this group for quite a while, and you don't really know him, but he's here in support of himself and in support of the group.
Mm.
So I just want you to, you know, if you need to, you can open your eyes and look at him, but feel the presence of Aaron in relation to your body. You know, it might feel like it's in front of you or behind you or beside you. Just feel an awareness of Aaron's presence here. Nice. And the intention then is really to notice what happens in your field, you know, which brings up any subconscious material that might have been triggered by Aaron and his presence here with us.
Hmm.
Are you noticing anything in your field?
Yeah, probably up around here. Just a little bit of closure, or bit of heaviness, or just it's a kind of maybe a disconnection feeling to some degree. You know?
A what feeling?
A disconnection, just of my own wariness, or that, you know. Yeah.
Okay, great. So that's wonderful. So he's the gift that's helping you find that peace.
Mm.
And of course, it's never about Aaron. It's about, you know, something from your past. So bring your attention to that, whatever you call the disconnect, but that area that you disconnected from, or the sensations in your body in relation to Aaron. You are pointing to your heart space. So just feel your heart space. Feel your whole body and feel your heart space as part of it. And allow whatever is there, heaviness or anything, to be there. And also, please seep backwards to the back of your body. Make sure that you're inhabiting the back as well as the front. Nice. Seeping in and grounding in and noticing what material is coming through you to be seen by you right now. What are you aware of in your field right now?
There's a couple of different things. It's kind of a two-sided response. I suppose the feeling of that is coming from my back. It's kind of trying to wrap around and close me down.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a sense of wanting to collapse or hide.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on the other side of that then is kind of a self-judgment or an aggressor.
Right.
In there.
What does he say, your aggressor? What kind of words does he use?
It's usually just you're bad, you're just not good enough, or
not doing it right, not good enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like it goes deeper than that, but that's the surface ones, you know.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're doing great work, and Aaron's a real gift to us here, because that, you know, is bringing up something that is deeper than anything to do with Aaron, of course. Yeah. So you can kind of drop Aaron and just, you know, forget the dynamic that you're in and making that the cause, but turn your attention inwards to what you're feeling, the sense of collapse, the protection, all those pieces, and feel as if you're seeping in through time to the deepest origin of, you know, the origin of that. When did that first happen to you in your system? Not using your mind to get an answer, but just using the intention and the quest to feel through the layers to the deepest origin of what's here right now. Maintaining your connection with the whole body, because there is a relativistic thing going on. We had the three elements. We had the experience in the front, the chest. We had the protector in the back, and we had the judge popping in. giving his opinion about it. So the judge lives somewhere in your field. You know, he pops in as a thought, but there's a thinker behind that thought. We're going to call him the judge, and you can discern his qualities and properties in the sense of I, the judge. And seep into that judge as a vibration. Because this judge, he's a knight and he needs to come to the round table. And he's all about protecting you and enabling your life. And he's probably tired. So it's kind of like, instead of being the judge, it's kind of like you're in your field as awareness, and you turn your awareness towards the judge and say to him, oh, I see you, welcome. Please join me here. You're welcome here. So we want to discern what he feels like. That's how we know thyself. It's like, that's how we can integrate him, is to actually feel his colors and vibes and qualities and properties, allowing them to be here with us, honoring the judge because he's only ever done what he needed to do to serve you when love wasn't present. So we're turning a loving connection towards him. So in that way, you know, that any relativistic stuff about, you know, him being bad or not needing to be here, or, you know, any split that comes as a result of his judgment isn't necessary. You just work with him energetically and you go, oh, I see you. As soon as you see the judge, you're in a process of disidentifying and removing your attachment. You no longer are the judge, you are the one who sees the judge. So things have changed a little bit. How I'm going to invite you to share again, but I really want to see if it's possible for you. It's a bit of a practice to do so, but if it's possible for you not to disconnect from your direct experience of your field of awareness, but actually speak out of your field of awareness. So making your connection important, because actually as you speak, things change. And I call it speaking truth. And I'm not looking, you know, when we speak this way, we're not looking for interpretation or meaning. We're not wanting to come into an identification or a separation. We're just saying, oh, you know, I feel this in my head and this in my heart, and, you know, I'm experiencing this in my body. It's very just descriptive.
The judge really brought me in around the back of my neck. I just seem to be drawn there, and a kind of a tension and a kind of it's kind of a bracing, like waiting to be hit from behind or something. And yeah, it's difficult to see him. He doesn't want to be seen. He's kind of, my eyes are having trouble, or my body is having trouble settling on that sensation. But on the other side of that, there is also a kind of there is a sense of something being kind of released, and there's a positive energy and a strength with that, and even a kind of a joy as well of.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Yeah.
And this, you know, we all want to be seen, but we're all afraid to be seen. It's like a common quality that we have, because, you know, not being seen was a way of staying safe.
Yeah.
And yet we really are here to be ourselves and be seen as that. So the way I'm experiencing your fields, I can feel that lightness. I felt a wobble. I felt a stability coming through. And I feel, even before you mentioned the judge, I felt this sensation on the back of the head, around the occiput, sometimes called the alta major. So it's right behind the reptilian brain, the lower brain. So it's a lot to do with survival. You know, just that location tells us something. But for now, we just work with it energetically. So it's it doesn't even need the label of the judge. It just needs connection. Yeah. And it needs to be part of, because it is.
Yeah.
And so it's part of you that's informing your system, and it's a valuable part of you because it's engaged in keeping you alive.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that state of perception perceives lots of things as threats that aren't actually threats. Yeah. So the process of its inclusion, you know, what wasn't available when it birthed was love, and the process of including it here in a loving way is valuable. It's just this I'm here for all of me kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have the skill, and I feel just even replenishing that alignment as a sort of intention and a welcoming of this part of your being that has been regaled to the dark shadows in the cave, to allow it to come home and be integrated and be thanked and acknowledged and honored. Yeah. So for you, that's sweet. You can just, when you see something and it goes unstable and so on, you can just choose a good alignment, and it seems to stabilize it and shift. So it's a sign of the practice that you've done, which is great.
Yeah, it's got a direct link actually to that spot there that was in at the first point. It's really kind of loosening that up. Like
Right. That makes sense.
Like it goes there and then directly to my hip and then comes back up through here. Like in that survival response to activating my hip, but
yes, great. This is perfect. So what you're seeing, what you've seen and what you're sharing is the relativistic nature between an experience in your body and the one who's experiencing it, who you named the judge or the defender, or, you know, he's probably got several characteristics. So we can drop his name, but just know him directly from the felt sense of him. And we can explore that relativistic nature between him and what he's looking at. So if you feel into that liver, hip, you know, that whole area on your right side, and allow that area to come into definition of its own free will. It's like there's no intensity and kind of zooming into it to get rid of it, but rather inviting it by kind of sitting back and saying to it, I'm here for you. What do you need to say? It's like a really sincere invitation out of grace. And then you remain in this grounded connection to the whole field, letting whatever the field wants to illuminate, because you're sitting here in grace. So as you're feeling the wholeness of your field, you can discern this experience on your right side At the same time, you can also still be in the thing on the back of your head and notice what happens to it when you are talking or listening to the experience on your right side.
It's kind of strange.
Huh?
It's kind of strange. It's like my right side is huge. It's like it's just expanded.
Okay.
With my body, it's strange.
Great.
Has this nice warmth, kind of.
Right.
In my lower back there.
Right. I mean, this session is not really like a session. It's kind of a training thing. So I do tend to go fast and try to point out things so that you can play and practice on your own. When you moved into a kind of orientation of grace, I mean, the judge and the observer are still there, in, kind of a little bit in the shadows, but your power of choosing grace is good. And that enabled, whatever the right side to expand and warm and kind of relax itself. Yeah.
Mm.
And if the thing on the back of your head is loved enough, which just means that you're connected to it, it trusts love and it will allow you to do that. But if you're not oriented as love, if you're oriented as some other identity and separation, it becomes harder. And there are levels and layers to this. So, there's this whole unconscious, pre-conscious, pre-verbal pieces that are harder to find. So now, if you've done diligence to feeling the liver area and the right side, and you're aware of the thing on the back of the head, I want to invite you just to feel into where is stillness right now in relation to those things and in relation to your body. And again, it's not so much that you jump up to go looking for stillness, it's more that you hold steady and allow stillness to reveal itself, because that's your quest. And you're aligned with your quest. Nice. And then you notice what happens to the right side and the back of the head as you seep into the stillness. It's like you find where it is, you notice where it is, and then you really want to taste it by grounding into it and really absorbing and merging and feeling it. What does stillness feel like? What is the deepest origin of stillness? Is it just that enables this falling in? Good. Ooh. Are you noticing some shifting as you do that? Yeah.
I'm really drawn to above my head for some reason, but I'm also noticing a different, like an alignment or something,
Yeah. Well, I felt a lot of light and integration. And when you get something calling you, like something above your head, it can be a distraction because you're, upgrading your nervous system and it has limits, or it's something that needs to be included. So my general attitude is never to destabilize by disconnecting and going looking above your head. Rather, you keep grounding into all that you are already, and you kind of increase the size of your awareness to include what's above your head. So allowing the above the head to reveal itself because it's part of. So this, the wholeness thing here is very important because everything is relative in this dynamic. Everything is relative to everything else. So when something changes in one, it changes through the whole system. We're healing. It's like a transfiguration. You're healing from the inside out. It ripples through every element of your life and world. Even though you might not be able to put in words what the result of this session is.
Mm-hmm.
So I can feel something touching the crown that's coming from above your head. And where it's touching the crown, there's a sort of tightening sensation there. I also feel the thing on the back of your head is changing as I explore that crown. It's almost like a slight kind of burning intensity on the meeting point between the back of the head. Feels like a thickness, you know, a field of a thickness that's outside your skin. It's on you rather than just in you. It's also in you.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Yeah,
feel some of that.
Yeah, and as it changed when I look at the, it's related to what's on your crown and above you. So as you feel your crown, you can be aware of how that shifts the experience on the back of your head. And you can also remain aware of the whole and the experience on the right side. Well, when you feel stable with all the experiences of existence or form, I want you to invite you to notice where stillness is now in relation to your body and all those pieces. And ground into that stillness. Where is it that you touch the stillness? Where does that show itself to you?
Kind of drawn up here again. There's a lot of energy. I feel quite grounded underneath the seat and my back. That energy is kind of vibrating now.
Great.
And warm. And so it feels like there's quite a bit of there's movement there, mostly in around my body in different ways, just subtle vibration in my spine and stuff. And this feels like more up here.
The stillness feels up there.
Yeah, or that seems to be where I can recognize it.
Okay. And does that stillness feel inside you or outside you? Or both?
It feels inside, yeah. There is that funny sensation. There's a kind of a coolness there as well. But it's inside in my
Great.
forehead or eyes.
So now that you have, you know, a GPS on it, you're aware of its size and location and the shape and space it occupies, then you know what you're actually doing here. This is the Trinity, which you haven't really been introduced to properly, but you're getting introduced now, is that God is the healer, or stillness is the healer. So this is kind of like you're taking your wounds to be seen by God, your inner connection with God. So, and we do a lot of work developing our connection to stillness because that's where the power is. So it's not that I'm healing, it's that healing is a natural alchemical response when you remember who you are at source, when you realize source in relation to the wound and the wounded one. So those are the three elements of the Trinity. So just seep into and ground into whatever feels like stillness, while you're maintaining a felt sense of the wholeness, front, back, side to side, top to bottom, the whole bubble. Within this bubble is stillness. And wherever you've touched it, just seep into it. As you drop deeper and deeper into stillness, for me, it's like a dark night sky. It's like a vacuum. And just seeping into the deepest origins of stillness, while being grounded in all that's here. Allowing those movements, or the essence, the vibrations of movement, to do their thing. Feeling yourself into the back body. So does it feel to you stable at the moment?
Yeah.
Does
So
it feel
it's quite a bit of energy. It feels stable within that as well. It's
right.
it's just expansion or opening. That sensation is kind of moving down my head.
And where is it now?
It's kind of seeping down, and also doing my and stuff.
Great.
Quite nice actually. I wasn't sure my observer was going off, not knowing what it is or not knowing to trust it. I haven't felt it before.
Where do you experience the observer?
In the eyes again, came back in, and from here.
Okay.
Something very gentle about it.
Because it's great that you're already in touch with your observer so quickly. And you know, there's a huge amount that embodying the observer gives us. So for now, it's juggling. You seem to be able to follow along beautifully. So you've got your stillness, you've got your sensations up there, over there, in the liver area, in the back of the head. You've got all of that. And you just feel into. It's so important to do the feeling. It's not about finding the observer. He's here. It's more about sitting back and inviting him to show himself. And then have the courage to kind of enter into the field of the observer, which is, you said, around your eyes. So again, you're kind of sensing its size and shape and the space that it occupies. You know, you're discerning it in contrast to the rest of you. Where does the observer start and stop? Is it just my eyes? Does it go into the middle of my head, behind my eyes? Does it go all the way to the back of the head? It does.
Yeah, goes down the back and the neck and
right.
That's well there.
So your observer is entangled with your identity. It's like, I am the observer. You know, I, Patrick, observe. And what we want to do, we want to disentangle him from the process of perception. We're looking for pure perception, so that you can see with clear glasses rather than with tinted ones. Yeah. So that's just the intent. That's a stick in the ground of what we're doing. And just becoming aware of the observer is huge. And so just be aware of how he inhabits you and how he's kind of hooked up to this. It's a very strong masculine energy that's kind of holding your back straight So I want to invite you, you know, you're still tracking the wholeness and you're still tracking the different objects that show themselves, but your focus is exploring your observer, and you want to feel the differences between the front of the eye, the middle of the eye, the back of the eye, the space behind the back of the eye, the middle of the head. From the middle of the head all the way to the back of the head is just contrast all the different vibrations that you find within the observer field. For me, I can feel two places that feel the strongest, and they're in relationships. Like the back of the head is the one looking at the front of the eyes, or the eyeballs feel a little bit marble-ish, you know, like a little bit hard.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so it's not that all the other bits aren't important, but because they're the strongest, they're the ones that need attention right now. And they're relativistic. You know, what's on the front of the eyes tends to be what I'm seeing. And what's on the back of the head tends to be the one looking at it who doesn't necessarily feel okay about what he's seeing.
Yeah.
Great. So you feel quite nicely in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to invite you to feel the very back membrane of your observer on the back of the head. Like you're feeling backwards to find his final edge, you know, where he stops, that skin between him and what's behind him. And then just plant your awareness there. There's a lot of information there.
Mm.
I get this sensation of like my eyeballs trying to look back.
Mm.
Like the observer's trying to look at himself, yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, there's always that, the observer is constantly in fear that there's something
Behind me.
from behind. There's always on alert of what's behind, and
Yeah, I get that. I can feel that, yeah.
pushing forward then with that, you know.
So it's a practice because, you know, noticing the movement of the eyeballs is, you know, part of it coming into awareness of like how that sort of hypervigilance works.
Mm.
And he's worthy of being hypervigilant because there is something behind you.
Yeah, I could actually feel that as well. It's like, yeah, there's something hovering there.
Yeah, so let's explore that, because that's like, as I feel the whole of you right now, I still feel the eyes.
Mm.
But the strongest part is this back of the head. And as you explore it, it changes and it's like more granular. It's like there's dense information there that's unconscious and available for exploration. But, you know, I want to invite you to kind of seep backwards into the very, very back membrane of that field of your observer, the very back sheath or veil or skin, or however you experience it. And really embed into that.
There's a lot of pain there.
Yeah. So what I'm noticing too is like there's this impulse to let go. You know, there's this impulse of integration that's naturally arising, and then there's something kind of resisting that impulse. It's very, very subtle. And that's okay. Yeah. Just bringing attention to it.
There's a wound there.
In the throat?
There, going around, yeah. It just came in. Feels like it was kind of hurt out there.
Mm-hmm. So you're feeling something in the throat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally, it's linked. Come back around
Yeah.
there and into the shoulder there.
Yeah. Yeah, I got that.
It's just a hurt.
Yeah, so, you know, the wounded one at the back is looking at is in a relativistic dynamic with the throat at the front. So now that you can see the throat was actually hidden until we found the back. And finding the observer is how we reveal the hidden unconscious material that the observer, if you are the observer, you never see it because it filters it out. But when you become aware of the observer, it's like it's cleaning the glasses so that you can see what you couldn't see before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing. And I want to, as you feel into that very back, allow the throat thing, allow everything. It's all part of what needs to be received and heard by you. But keep your focus on that back membrane as if you're sensing into its deepest root. And this is ancestral.
Mm.
Yeah, we're not getting stories or images here. This is just shit that came with you when you arrived.
Yeah.
So as you feel into it, of course it's personal because you're living it, but its roots go back. And so when you found the very back edge and you felt it, I want you to step one step past the back edge and go outside behind the back edge and just notice what the space behind it feels like in contrast.
Like there's something feeding into it there or something.
Okay, just allow that. And don't be looking for something, just feel.
No, it's just a sense.
Yeah, just feel the energy without needing to interpret or understand it, just feel it.
The feeling is like it's like there's a flow, an inward flow from somewhere.
Yeah, so track that flow backwards as if you're looking, not looking, but as if you're feeling into its deepest origin. Go back as far as you need to go to find the deepest origin. Good.
It's quite embryonic.
Yeah. Did you notice a shift?
An image of an embryo came in.
Okay, great. I'm jealous of your images. So with your image, where did you perceive the image?
It's in that spot, kind of hovering.
Okay, great. So become the image, because there's information in the image. Become the source of the image. Seep into the image. So did you notice if the image pulled you out of the process, or were you able to remain in it?
I'm still in it, I feel, yeah. There's a lot more warmth around my neck and stuff now.
Yeah, great. Because the image is a gift, it's giving you some information, but we don't want it to be a distraction. which would be that it pulls you away. So it's like you consume the image by becoming one with it, and then you continue on your journey back. So when you hit that image, something integrated, and now you just keep going back beyond the embryo to the deepest origin of what's manifest in you right now, the absolute source, the birthplace. Great. And feel what that endpoint or that, you know, resting place feels like energetically. It's kind of like you go back as far as your system can.
Mm.
Great. Okay, so we're never done with these pieces, but you know, we're out of time. But what you're actually sitting in, Patrick, is what I call the event horizon.
Mm.
Yeah, and some of that terminology comes from science or cosmology, or Nassim Haramein in particular. And what you're sitting in is like, here's me in form. Yeah, and my deepest origin is formless. And
Okay.
between the formless, which is what I was inviting you to go back to, it always seems like it's behind us because we're stuck in time. So as you were seeping back, all the material between the form that you're in right now, all the traumas and stuff, and the formless is the event horizon. That holds the kind of matrix that creates you. The assemblage of you is in there. And
Okay.
my task or my interest after flailing around, you know, badly, going down the wrong rabbit holes for some time, was what is the causal layer? And, you know, where's the reset button? What is the causal layer of what's happening in me right now?
Yeah.
And you're you know, the most powerful work to do for you right now, which appears that you're available to do it the way that your system's set up, is to explore your observer and the roots of your observer. And that sensation on the back of your head is full of the material of what I call the assemblage point.
Okay.
So you're birthing out of nothingness in this very moment and assembling into you through that density that's there. It's got all this matrix information that creates you. And it's like the glasses that your perception looks through.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And your perceiver, or the way that you perceive, is actually creating the throat. You know, it's like the perceiver is the creator, and we want the perceiver to be pure perception, which would be divine creation.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that's a lot that I've just thrown at you, but you've got a video of it.
Yeah.
To review, and hopefully you can use the video to go and play some more.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. I'll be revisiting this. Yeah.
How do you feel right now?
Good. Consciously a little bit different, kind of a bit more heightened awareness. Got that nice warmth there. It feels like the work we were doing, it's kind of percolating away.
Right.
Bits of vibration happening around the lower spine. And,
Right.
just at the very end there, I got a sense of that going beyond the embryo, and it was like, that has my curiosity then. It's like, well, what's there, you know? So it's a few things.
Yeah, well, I feel you as an adventurous soul with an explorative mind, and I think that's a gift, you know, unless
Yeah.
you make the mind the master, in which case you get into trouble.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, just you can report in the group if you notice changes over the next few days. How does your liver feel now? Your liver area.
It's much more open. There's it's that energy, there's vibration and warmth kind of working away. There's stuff happening, you know. It's like
Okay, the process is happening on its own.
yeah, it's just subtle vibrating away. It's just waking it up almost, or something, you know.
Right, that's lovely, and that makes me feel like, you know, the alchemy can alchemize you without your attention, you know, without you being in a session to fix anything. It's just happening and you're aware of it. Yeah. Which is sweet. That's a lovely gift.
Yeah.
Okay, so, you know, Aaron, you know, was the doorway for us today.
Thanks, Aaron.
to a journey. And how are you doing, Aaron? We'd like to hear a little bit from you about how you experienced this journey. I think it was there was a lot of things that I felt related to you, so it's quite magic that you were here.
Yeah, it was. It was very, the observer, I was very there with that, and I stayed with that for quite a while. And it also felt quite a gift to me to be part of a session where I was observed. It actually felt really warm and safe.
Yeah.
So both those things were very much a part of what I'm doing at the moment, and the body.
Yeah. So
body sensations.
Yeah. So magic healing for you, because you were observed from a place of sovereignty. So there wasn't any kind of codependent projection, transference going on in the way that you were observed. You know, Patrick was owning observer and his field. And so that's where the safety comes from in relationship, when each person is sovereign.
True.
You know, and not in a dualistic feedback feed forward loop of projection and reaction and projection and reaction. So that's really sweet. And it's very, you know, it was kind of sweet also about, you know, how Patrick in the beginning, it was actually for him about being seen. And then you were actually having the experience of being seen. You know, so it's kind of, you know, cute how some of those little synchronicities are at play between us, and a joy to behold. Yeah, okay. Well, I see you all on Saturday.
See you then.
A group. I'm not sure what we're doing yet, but it hopefully will have something to do with reflection technique. We'll meditate together and then just check in with, you know, people's journeys and what's unfolding and any questions and stuff like that.
Cool. Thanks, Patrick. Thanks, Leonora.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Patrick. It's lovely. It was lovely to finally have a connection one-on-one with you.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you.
And outside of the embryo, we didn't have a lot of images this time.
Yeah. No doubt they're there.
All right. Take care. Have a lovely day.
See you now.